Hello and welcome to ThinkShare. My name's Zach, here to bring to what I've been thinking about, sharing about, talking about, listening to, reading about that doesn't belong in math class to make you the goodest version of yourself. I feel like I've had some bad habits lately that I wanted to share with you all. So maybe you can learn from them so you don't make the same mistake I've been making. So one of the habits that I kind of get into is during the work week. So as I'm a teacher, I usually don't get a ton of sleep. I usually don't get a full 8 hours every night. And even recently, I've been going to bed at like 10, 11, almost 12. And it's like towards the end of the week, I start saying, well, I just have one day or I just have 2 days to sort of survive through. And so I have this mentality of that sleep I can kind of catch up on later. And I think sometimes I don't. It's not until I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say here. It's hard to notice the real impact of it until you're like way further past where you would want to be. So I think when I start not having enough sleep, it's the only time that I start noticing is when I'm way underslept and like I got giant bags under my eyes and I have tough memory recall. Like I remember last Thursday I was part of an authors panel and they're asking questions to a couple of us authors at the front of the room, and at some point I interjected and said, hey, like I read this book and it talked about this. I couldn't remember the name of the book, and I mean most of the time I'm pretty good at remembering stuff, but my recall wasn't there. And I'm pretty sure I could attribute that lack of, I was stalled on it for maybe 30 seconds and I had to ask one of the other authors, do you know what book I'm talking about? And I described it. We played like a mini game of verbal charades. Like I mentioned a couple things about the book and they figured out it was War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. But one of the challenges of getting enough sleep is kind of making it a priority and making it urgent. And I think a couple other things happen in my life that I make urgent over it. One of them is getting grading done or getting my lesson plans in order. But the only problem is they're not urgent during the day. They're just urgent when it's close to bedtime. And same thing with YouTube is it's not urgent to get it done during the day, but it's urgent to get it done before the end of the day. So there's a couple things there that are always urgent at the end of the day, but not necessarily during. And I would love to hear someone call in, because this is Anchor, and you can call in. I know a lot of people listening right now are on Facebook, because that's where my only audience is right now. I'd love to know, what are some things that you do to make those things that by the end of the day, like urgent during the day? I've been just having some challenges with that recently, and I've been having a hard time getting to bed at a reasonable hour that sets me up to win for the rest of the week, instead of tearing my body apart until Friday, and then Friday rolling around being exhausted and then wanting to sleep in on the weekends. Because last weekend I actually messed myself up, because Saturday I slept all the way into like noon or something, and then I had to take a melatonin going to sleep that night, and then Sunday I was like groggy and my body was all messed up because of the drugs in it, and I needed the melatonin to fall asleep because I had slept in, or I didn't have enough exercise during the day. So I'd love to hear people's perspectives on this. What are some of the context shifts? For anyone that's taken the Landmark Forum, you'll understand what I'm saying here. What's been the context around sleep that really helps you? So that's my question/message for today. I know I think my life would be occurring a bit better if I were getting my 8 hours a night and are prioritizing things a little differently during my day. I'd love to help. Thank you for listening. Stay weird.